everybody, it's Aubrey again, and today I'm going to talk about Job 1 through 5. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to Daily Audio Bible. I specifically listen to Daily Audio Bible Chronological. They have an app, and that's how I listen to it. But you can also listen to it through other places, like where there's podcasts. But the reason I'm giving them a shout out is because I wouldn't be making these videos without them. Today is the 4th of January, and I'm going to be talking about Job 1 through 5. And so for some background for the people who don't know what the book of Job is about. So the book introduces Job as a man of integrity, blameless, and he follows God and tries to do what is right, and God sees him as blameless. So that's the way it's introduced, and it talks about all the blessings that he has. He is a very wealthy man. He has a lot of livestock and property and all that, and he has many children. So that's how he's introduced. And it says that the men of God and Satan go into God's presence to talk to him. And by men of God, I'm assuming that means the angels. And God and Satan are having a conversation, and God says, "Consider my servant Job. He's blameless in all of his ways." And Satan says, he basically says, well, of course he's blameless. Like, of course he fears you. Like, does he fear you for nothing? I mean, look at all these things that you've given to him. You've made his life so easy. But if his life wasn't so easy, he wouldn't fear you like he does. It's just because you've made his life easy. And so God says, very well, I give you permission to do what you want with his life. Just don't harm him. And it's incredible in like a terrible way that what happens after is he has one servant and comes and tells him about a catastrophe that happened to Job's property, and then another one comes and tells about another catastrophe, and then another one comes and tells about another catastrophe, and his children get killed because they're having a banquet and the roof falls in on them. And so it's just like the people who are coming to tell him about these terrible things that are happening to his life, the terrible things that he's losing, they don't even get the chance to finish talking before the next one comes. And his reaction is to tear his clothes, shave his head, and bow down and worship God. And it might sound kind of weird to us to like have that reaction to like about the tearing of the clothes and shaving of the head, because that's not part of our culture. But context matters so much in the Bible. If you don't have context, it's not going to make any sense. So those are signs of grief. And he bows down and he says, "The Lord gives and the Lord takes away." And he doesn't lose faith in God. And I would not have that reaction, I think. If that would not be my first inclination, would be to bow down and start worshiping, but that's what he did. And something that Jill Parr, who is the one who reads the chronological Daily Audio Bible, talked about today was at the beginning of the chapter. It talks about how Satan is in God's presence, and she talks about how there's a lot of people, and we think sometimes that we're not worthy to be in God's presence. But like, if anybody is not worthy to be in God's presence, it's Satan. But even Satan was allowed to be in God's presence. And so, of course, we who are his children, he does not matter like what we've done. Like we are worthy not because of who we are on our own. We are worthy because of who we are to him. Because we are his children, and when it comes down to it, he just wants to be with us. And he knows that, like, Jesus knew, like, how corrupt humans were when he decided to go through with letting himself be sacrificed. He knew that. But he knew how corrupt we were, yet his desire to be with us was so strong that it didn't matter, because he wants to be with us. So if Satan is allowed to be in God's presence, of course, like, we're worthy. And so that's really all I wanted to talk about today, because I'm sure I'll be talking more about the book of Job later on. But what Jill said about pointing out about how Satan was allowed to be in God's presence, and of course we would be allowed to, that really struck me. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I love you guys, and I'll see you for the next video.